So today's content framing question is, what is a central message in Emma's Rug? And again, the central message is the lesson that the author is trying to teach you. Today's craft question is, how does a thesis statement work? So we're going to be talking about what a thesis statement is today. So quickly before we begin our lesson today, I just want us to review how we identify a central message in a story. So 4 different ways that we know how to identify a central message in a story includes noticing repeated images and illustrations that can help us identify it, repeated ideas or language, the relationship between the beginning and the ending of a story, as well as the character changing throughout the text. Alright, so after reviewing how we identify a central message in a text, this is going to be the first part of your classwork today. So take a look here. The directions say annotate evidence related to a central message when listening to the read aloud for the 3rd time today. So I'm going to insert Emma's Rug again, read aloud by me. And so while you're listening to this story for the 3rd time, I want you to be jotting notes related to what the central message could be in our text by utilizing these 4 different strategies. So here, as you can see in this first column, I want you to take note of the repeated images and illustrations. Also look at the repeated ideas and language. So again, repeated words throughout this book. Look at the beginning and ending of the story and see if you can find any evidence here. And then also when the character changes, right? Any feelings or how she was in the beginning of the book and then how she is at the end of the book. If you know anything, please write that down here. Again, I want you to find evidence, so that means that you can write directly from the text exactly what Alan Say wrote. You can write that down here and that'll be okay. If you want to paraphrase and kind of summarize what he said on that page, you can also do that, but you can also just directly copy from the book if you want. Okay. Alright, so then once you're done filling this out after listening to the read aloud, which will be in the next clip, I want you to take a look at the next 2 parts that you need to complete for your classwork. So I noted in lesson 1 that there was a part that was missing in our story map, which was what is the central message, as well as supporting key details. So this is going to be important for our writing practice later, and this is related to what you found up here. And so I want you to write down what you think the central message is. And again, central message being the lesson that the author is trying to teach you, our author being Alan Say. So write down what you think the lesson is right here. And then I want you to find 2 supporting key details, which is 2 pieces of evidence. Okay, and so now that we're approaching the end of 3rd grade, I want to challenge you to write down the exact page number, and especially since this book has the page numbers in the book, you can write on page blank. It says, instead of saying in the text, it says, you can write on page blank, Alan Say says, and then write down the evidence that supports your central message. So again, remembering that your key details that you write here, and you need to find at least 2. You need to support whatever lesson that you are stating that Alan Say is teaching you up here. And then finally, the last 2 TDQs before I insert the clip of the read aloud. I'll just read out loud for you. What do the illustrations on pages 7, 9, and 15 suggest about why the rug is important to Emma? So again, you're going back to pages 7 or taking note 7, 9, and 15, looking specifically at the illustrations and why the rug is important to Emma. Okay? What evidence do you see in the pictures there? And then for the second TDQ, it says, based on the evidence from the text and illustrations, what does Emma believe is the source of her inspiration? So now thinking about what is her source of inspiration. What do you think based on what you can find in the text? pictures and words. All right, so that is the first part of your lesson for today. When Emma was born, someone gave her a rug. It was a small rug, shaggy and plain, the kind that keeps your feet warm in the bathroom. So Mother laid it by the crib for the day the baby could stand on her feet. And by the time Emma climbed out of the crib by herself, no one remembered who had given her the rug. Emma loved the rug. She lay on it and sat on it, and she was happy. When she began to walk, she carried it everywhere she went, but never stepped on it. Now she only stared at it, sitting perfectly still for long periods of time. "That's not a blanket, it's her television," Father said. "What do you see in that fuzzy thing?" Mother asked. Emma did not answer. Before long, Emma began to draw and paint. Her parents were quite impressed. "Now, there is a warthog," Father would say. "Where did she see a pangolin? Is that a tapir?" Mother would ask. One weekend, Father put a small drawing table in the kitchen, and right away the kitchen became Emma's favorite place in the house. On her first day at the kindergarten, Emma went straight up to an easel and began to paint. Other children gathered around and watched her wave the long brush like a maestro's baton. The grown-ups were amazed. "She's special, that one adult said to another. In the first grade, Emma won the top prize in the art competition. "What talent!" exclaimed the teacher. "How do you know what to draw?" the children asked. "Where do you get your ideas?" "I just copy," Emma told them. No one believed her. Emma won more prizes. Every time she entered a competition, she received an award. Sometimes it was a ribbon, other times a plaque or a trophy. Her room became filled with awards. Her parents were very proud. But Emma only looked at a rug, which she now kept hidden in the bottom of her chest of drawers. "What should I draw next?" Emma asked every day. Early one morning, the telephone rang. It was the mayor, asking to speak to Emma. Mother thought it was a prank, but then she recognized the voice, which she had heard on television many times. "Congratulations," the mayor announced. "Your daughter has won first prize in our annual citywide art competition. I'm sending a limousine at 3:30 today. The reception is at the Museum of Art. Please be ready." At the reception, many famous people stared at Emma. "She's so small. What a doll. Big talent in such a little thing. How can she hold a brush in that hand?" People cooed as cameras flashed. The mayor presented her the winner's certificate in a big frame. "So how does it feel to be a celebrity?" a newspaper reporter bent down to ask. Emma didn't say a word. The following morning, Mother went into Emma's room. She frowned at the unmade bed. Then she saw the rug with the framed certificate on top. "Goodness sakes, I don't think this thing has ever been cleaned." Wiggling her nose, she took the rug downstairs and put it in the washing machine. When Emma came home, she went to her room and stared in the empty drawer. She dashed into the kitchen and said, "Where's my rug?" "Oh, I washed it. It must be dry by now," Mother told her. "You washed my rug?" Emma charged downstairs. The rug had shriveled. It was ragged. All the fluff was gone. It was very, very clean. Emma cried out. Next day at school, Emma didn't draw or paint. She never opened her mouth, and her hands didn't come out of her pockets. "Do you feel all right?" the teacher asked. Emma only nodded. "You can use my crayons," Alex offered. Emma pushed the box away. Days went by, Emma didn't speak, and soon the children ignored her. After a while, it was as if she wasn't there anymore. Emma took down all the drawings and paintings from the walls of her room. She put the prize ribbons and plaques and trophies and medals into cardboard boxes. She gathered up her colors and pencils and brushes. Then she took them all down to the garage and stuffed them in the trash bin. The last thing she threw away was her rug. There, she said, kid stuff. All afternoon, Emma sat in her empty room. It seemed somehow larger and brighter. No more pictures, Emma murmured. Then something made her jump. From the corner of her eye, she thought she saw something move behind her. She knew there was only the wall there, all bare now, yet she turned, as if to catch sight of something flying away. She gave a cry. Emma rushed outside. It can't be, she said, breathing faster. She saw the eyes watching her and then the faces of creatures all around. She knew them from before. She had thought she would never see again. I can see you, Emma cried with joy. The trees rustled as if laughing, and then it was quiet. The end. All right, so here is your second part of today's classwork, which is your Socratic seminar. So the prompt that you need to make sure that you answer for the Socratic seminar is this. Does the illustration on page 7 or the illustration on page 31 better support a central message in Emma's rug? So I want you to tell me whether you think the illustration on page 7 is better supports or the illustration on page 31. And I'll have those two illustrations attached to this prompt so that you can see the two different illustrations I'm referring to. Okay, so that is the first part. As always, we go over this in the Socratic seminar. You need to make sure that you answer that question first. You need to pick a side. You need to pick either page 7 or page 31. Okay, but as well as picking a page of which illustration you think better supports it, then you need to give some reasons, right? So here are some sentence starters that you can use to help build your response. So don't just write illustration on page 31. Right? I want you to tell me what you think the central message is in the story, as well as giving some evidence and reasons as to why you think that page better supports your central message, right? Because again, there's not one central message that is correct, but it's whatever lesson you think the author is teaching you, and you need to be able to make sure you can back it up. So I'm going to read through some of the sentence starters that you can use, so please follow along with me. So a sentence starter you can use to identify the central messages. A central message in Emma's rug is blank. The illustration on page blank better supports a central message because it shows blank. So here's an example of a first sentence that you can use to tell me which page you think better supports the central message. The next one says the text supports the central message because it says blank. The illustration supports the same central message because blank. So that means you're still telling me that the illustration supports the lesson that you're talking about, the central message, but you're also giving me textual evidence. Okay. Then it says in the illustration, I notice this supports the central message because. One reason for my opinion is blank. One piece of evidence that supports my opinion is blank. Okay, so that's just the first part of the Socratic seminar, because again, the point of a Socratic seminar is being able to respond to what your classmates are saying. So in order to get full points for your Socratic seminar, you need to make sure that you respond to at least one other classmate. And I want to challenge you as well, if you would like to continue to post. No spamming, please, and you know what that is about. I don't want to have to go through the directions again of a Socratic seminar. I have that attached to other lessons and guidelines, but please make sure you stay on topic. But I will I want to see who's really going out of their comfort zone and challenging themselves to post multiple times and keep the discussion alive, right? So more questions that you can be thinking about to respond to include: what central message do you notice? What do you notice in the text that supports the central message? How does one of the illustrations support the same central message? So maybe the central message you picked, you notice that multiple illustrations throughout the book support that central message. And then how do the text and illustrations work together to support a central message? So how do they work together to help you understand the lesson that you think Alan Say is teaching you? Okay. So again, please make sure that you're responding to the question first of all. Then you're responding to each other. You're agreeing and disagreeing respectfully, and you're staying on topic. So again, especially because other people are going to be responding and your work is going to be public, please reread your work. If you would like me to read your response before posting it, you can totally leave a private comment, and your teachers will be able to read your post before you actually post it. Just remember, we're available from 9 to 4. And yeah, because also I want to say, I got some questions last time for our Socratic seminar of you're not able to read other people's posts until you post your own. So that kind of works out in that you're not tempted to borrow someone else's idea, but instead you are thinking of your own opinion first. You're posting that, and then you can see what your classmates have also said, and if you agree or disagree. All right, so that is the second part of today's lesson, and then we're going to go into some writing. So what have we already learned about explanatory writing? So now we're shifting back to explanatory writing after working on narrative writing for Module 3. Explanatory writing includes an introduction, supporting paragraphs, and a conclusion. We know that explanatory writing also groups related information together. We know it includes facts, definitions, and details to develop topics, and we use linking words to connect ideas. So going back to the charts that we used to have back when we were in school in our wonderful classroom together, this is what we started with in 3rd grade. Our acronym: Describe Your Knowledge to a T. Your topic statement, evidence elaboration, and concluding statement. So then right before remote learning, as well as in the beginning of Module 3, we started including an introduction paragraph that included hooks. So then our acronym changed to HIT, which is hook the reader, introduce your reader to the topic, and then T standing for the important idea, and then the TEEC has stayed the same. So now here is our new and improved explanatory writing model, and you'll see it's kind of similar. But now that T in the introduction paragraph stands for thesis statement, which includes main idea of the essay as well as supporting points. So finally, this is the last part of your classwork for today, the third part of today's lesson, which is practicing writing a thesis statement. Since today is the first time you are writing a thesis statement, I wanted to just give you an example of one and then show you a bunch of examples and non-examples, and I want you to just categorize them into the correct category. So follow along. So this top part, you'll recognize it from the hit to seek. So here we have H is hook, I introduce, so hook captures the reader's attention, and I introduce the audience to the topic. And then this is an example of a thesis statement. So in Alan Say's book, Emma's Rug, spending time alone inspires Emma by allowing her time to stare at her rug and copy the things she sees in her imagination. Right? So we know the writing prompt is what inspires Emma in Alan Say's book, Emma's Rug. So we stated the author's name, the title of our book, and we first answered the question, right? The main idea, which is spending time alone inspires Emma. Right, and the two supporting points that is included in this example is 1, allowing her time to stare at her rug, and then 2, she copies the things she sees in her imagination. Okay. I also want to emphasize that I hope you're watching this end of the video after you already completed your Socratic seminar and the beginning part of your classwork. Okay? Alright, so the last part of today, so I want you to categorize these sentences under examples and non-examples of thesis statements. So again, you're looking for thesis statements that have main idea and 2 supporting points. So I kind of gave you a little hint that there are the 2 out of the 5 of these sentences are examples, and then 3 out of the 5 are non-examples. So these are sentences that are not thesis statements. Okay? So all you can do, if you're working on the computer, you can highlight the sentence and Command C. I almost said Command Q like Miss Jones, but Command C to copy, and then you can just paste it directly in the correct column. Okay, so now I'm going to just read it out loud for you. The first sentence says, Emma is an interesting character. Think example, non-example. 2 characteristics of an artist that Emma has are that she gets ideas from her imagination and she needs quiet time alone. The third sentence is, the illustration on page 13 shows that Emma's art won a first-place prize. Fourth sentence, Emma does not say a word when a reporter asked her what it was like to be a celebrity. And then the fifth sentence says, the central message of Emma's rug is best supported by the illustration on page 31. Because it shows Emma alone outside, and because it suggests she is imagining lots of images when she is outside.